Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our mini masterclass on this Thursday, second Thursday of the month. Where are we? We're in the beginning of February, so that would be the second Thursday of the month. You are joining us live. If you are joining us live, thank you so much. If you are watching the replay, also thank you so much. We appreciate everyone that comes back to join us later, or if you're finding this on our YouTube channel or on LinkedIn, thank you for watching and being here. So today we are going to focus our mini masterclass on the conversion from desktop QuickBooks to the online software of QuickBooks. And there's a lot of controversy around this, and there's a lot of opinions around this, and there's a lot of happy people and there's a lot of not so happy people. So I'm going to address anything and everything that I can think of to bring to the table for you regarding converting from desktop to online. So obviously this is intended mostly for people who have not converted from desktop to online, and not anyone who really already has the online version going. But it's always good to know the differences, so you might want to still tune in even if you're already in QuickBooks Online. Or you may know somebody and now you can help them understand a little bit more. So years ago, like I'm talking probably 3 to 4 years ago, I started hearing from people when I would speak, is QuickBooks really going to get rid of desktop? And I would always say, no, that's not happening. They can't get rid of desktop. There's just too many users out there, too many people that have it to support their business. And they would say, oh, well, we heard they're going to get rid of it. Okay, so you all have been hearing that QuickBooks is getting rid of desktop for a few years now in one way or another. It is finally time to announce that, or QuickBooks has finally announced that it will officially no longer sell new versions of desktop after July of this year, 2024. Now, there are some things that means and doesn't mean, so I want to clarify those because, you know, it's just like this right now around the world with QuickBooks. So what does that mean? That means after July, you can no longer go purchase a new version of QuickBooks Desktop. You will not be able to download a new version or an update. You'll have to update prior to July 1st if you want to stay on desktop. What it also means is that once your 3-year term of desktop is up, so let's say you're in desktop 2023 right now, you have support until 2027. And then typically in 2027, you would have to get the newest version in order to continue receiving support, right? Well, once that 3-year term is up and it's past July 1st, you will absolutely not be able to get the newest or another new version of QuickBooks Desktop. You at that point will have to convert to online or continue using desktop in its limited functionality, because the things like payroll and bank fee downloads and transmissions will no longer be working. That's why they required the 3-year update. You could still data enter. You could still keep your records there. You could still even create your invoices in there and then manually save them as PDFs and email them out, things like that. So it's limited capacity, but you will no longer have Intuit support and you will no longer be able to upgrade once again. So that means that anybody and everybody who is in any version of desktop right now, by July 1st or maybe even June 29th, you should be upgrading. If you want to stay in desktop, you should be upgrading to the latest version that you possibly can so that you continue that support for that 3 years. So basically you'll buy yourself 3 years, even if you just updated last year and you're like, oh, I don't need to update for 3 more years. You should update this year again so that you buy yourself that extra year of support if your wish is to stay on desktop. Now, if you are in desktop and July 1st comes and goes, you still will be able to get your support as long as it's within that 3-year timeline, right? They're not going to cut you off and say, oh, July 1st happened and sorry, you have to convert or we're not going to support you. So that is a misnomer that is being spread around that I've heard a couple times now. You will be able to get support past July 1. You just can't buy new versions of Desktop past July 1. So hopefully that clears the water there a little bit. Now, the intention behind doing this is that Intuit does, in fact, want you to go to the online platform. That has been true for many years now, that it is putting more of its efforts and money and industry and innovation into the online version. True as can be. So the hope is that you will convert to online. Now, there's going to be an exception that the enterprise version of Desktop is not going to go away. If you actually belong in enterprise, there is currently actually no other online solution that is comparable to what enterprise can do. So they are not discontinuing enterprise. Now, enterprise fits a very specific business model, a very large business, a very robust business, a business that needs to do all kinds of different activities at all times of the day with many, many users, lots of inventory, manufacturing, things like that. So if your business is in enterprise and actually belongs there, I'll talk about that in a second, you don't have to worry about any of this. And there actually isn't a way for you to convert because currently online doesn't have something comparable. Now, when I say if you belong there, I have seen so many times over the years where a company was sold enterprise because on the basis of it does all these things, but they are actually taking advantage of almost zero of the actual benefits of enterprise. They are using it the same way they could be using Premier or Pro or even online, absolutely online. So that's why I say if you actually belong there, it's not, you can stay there and it's not going away. I would hate for you to be paying the price that enterprise does cost because it's very expensive comparatively to the other versions, just to say that you're in Desktop and that you don't have to convert, because that is not a fiscally responsible thing for you to be doing at all. So let's have a talk. If you're in enterprise and you want to know, do I really need to stay in enterprise or can I convert easily? We can actually look at that for you and make sure that that's the best move for your business. Now, staying in a software simply because that's what you're used to and that's what you know isn't what's best for your business. What's best for your business is figuring out, can I make this new one work? Will it improve efficiencies? Will it improve streamline workflows for me? Can the things we already do still be done, if not faster and better than they are being done? All of those things. That's what the responsible thing to do for your business is. So let's not let the comfort zone detour us from converting, because really, honestly, it's just about educating. As long as you educate yourself and you take the time to learn the new program or the new way of doing things, you might actually be saving yourself so much time and so much money in payroll or dollars lost because you have to be doing something like your bookkeeping instead of letting a system work for you, right? So we can talk about that. But there is lots to know about converting. First of all, not every single thing converts from Desktop to online. So there are certain reports that won't convert. There are certain roles and permissions that you may have customized in Desktop that don't convert apples to apples. But there are ways to recreate it or make sure that you know it's not going to convert prior to converting, so we are prepared to recreate it to the best of online's abilities. There are also things like reconciliation reports aren't going to come over, but the reconciliation status will come over, so you're not going to lose any data. There is a list in QuickBooks Desktop called Other Names. That list is actually going to come over as vendors. So there is no such thing as other name list in online. Some people use that for a very specific reason, which means you want to know ahead of time what that reason is and identify who those people are so that when we bring them over into online, we can somehow segregate those names again by a category or a class or something that helps you differentiate them the same as you were doing in desktop, just with calling it a different name or a different thing. That's a big difference. If you have memorized and custom reports, that is something that didn't used to convert, and they've gotten the conversions much, much, much more comprehensive, and a lot of them do now convert, so that's something that you don't have to worry about. Payroll does not convert. So the payroll system of desktop and the payroll system of online are actually two different systems. Both Intuit, yes, but two different systems that work a little bit differently. So yes, you can convert from desktop to online. It'll bring over all that information, all that data, but we do have to restart payroll in the new online system. Same with your merchant services. You can now actually convert a merchant service account from desktop to online. We just have to kind of say, hey, I already had one going, and go in and find it, but it doesn't come directly over. You have to tell the system that you're using merchant services and we've got to turn that on and activate it. So those are a couple things to be aware of. Permissions. Now, if you're in the advanced version of online, if you're going from desktop to QuickBooks Online Advanced, you can now actually bring over a lot of the permissions that were set up in desktop for your employees into the advanced version. Not necessarily in Plus, Essentials, or Simple Start, but into the advanced version. So depending on which subscription level that you go to, maybe even things that didn't used to convert at all can convert. We can have that conversation. That's something important you want to make sure that you do before you tackle converting, is go and get all the specifics from all these different areas from your desktop file so that there's no surprises, and if something needs to be recreated, you have all of the information you need to do so. Now, when you convert, your information doesn't just go away because it's converted. It will always live in that desktop file on your computer as long as you have the access to the computer or the backup of your QuickBooks or anything like that. You'll be able to go in and reference that information. Some people do want to just do a clean slate, fresh start. Maybe your QuickBooks Desktop is just old information that's not even applicable to your business anymore, or maybe it's just so large that you just really don't, that file is so large, you don't need to bring all of it over to online. Maybe you want a clean break. Maybe it was such a mess because it had never been done correctly. Your balance sheet is very screwed up. It would take years and so many dollars to fix it. Start fresh with QuickBooks Online. Your information in desktop does not go away. There are ways to enter correct starting balances so that your balance sheet is correct and your loans and everything correct, credit cards and checking accounts are all accurate as of whatever day that you're converting. So none of that, you don't have to worry about any of that if that's the position you're in. And many, many times I have seen over the years, that is where people are. It's a mess. They don't want to take the time and expense to clean it up, so they want that clean slate. If you're going to convert from desktop to online, don't bring over information, or I shouldn't say don't because that's harsh. You shouldn't, and you don't have to, bring over information that no longer applies to your business. So sometimes what people will do is a download of their lists, their products and service list, their vendor list, their customer list, any kind of list, memorized transaction list, and clean it up in Excel. So you can download everything out of desktop. You can clean up what information you don't need anymore, such as old vendors or old customers that you're never going to use again, old products and services that you don't ever sell or you haven't sold in years. Clean all that up in Excel and then simply upload the correct version of your old lists into the new QuickBooks Online. So you're still bringing over data, you're not punching it in, manual data entry, but you're doing it in a way that prevents you from having now erroneous information in the new QuickBooks and also the old QuickBooks. So there's tricks to the trade. There's ways to actually clean things up in the process of converting it. It doesn't have to just go, whatever's here has to go here. It doesn't. So depending on what position your desktop file is in, or condition, I should say, not position, condition it's in, you may want to do that. So that could be helpful for your business too, time saving as well. When you convert from desktop to online, you do have to reconnect all of your banking, like I said, your payroll, your merchant service accounts. It doesn't just turn everything on and it's working. There is work to be done within the new QuickBooks file. Your chart of accounts will come over completely. Again, that's something you can clean up before you can convert it, if that's something that you want to do. A lot of people find it easier and faster to work in Excel than go through the process of turning things on or off inside of QuickBooks Online. That's why I bring that up. But it's something you really do want to consider before you convert. I highly suggest you get help converting, that you don't just tackle it on your own, because there's so many things you're not even going to know to look for or know about, or you can obviously Google differences between desktop and online and what comes over and what doesn't. We can help you with that as well. But bottom line is, you should get guidance and help so that you don't make a big fat mess that you have to go clean up or pay somebody to clean up, right? You don't want that either. You don't want this to be a traumatic experience based on the fact that Intuit is no longer supporting the software, right? This is supposed to be actually a good thing for your business, and it can be a really good thing for your business. So segue into, what are the differences between working with desktop and working with online? There are going to be diehard desktop fans that hate online just because it's different for the rest of their lives. And that's fine. I think in life, there's things like that for all of us. You know, just because it's different is why we don't like it. It's not because it actually is any better or worse. It's just different. So there's that scenario. And I'm sorry if that's where you're at with this, because really eventually you won't have a choice. You do have a choice in other softwares, because Intuit QuickBooks is not the only thing out there. However, guess what? Newsflash, you're going to have to learn that software from scratch too. So either way you go about doing it, you're having to learn something new, period. And so I think putting your mindset in front of that and just figuring out, okay, as long as I learn it and take the time to educate myself, it's going to be fine. Otherwise, you are going to be kind of out there on your own, swimming in a sea that feels like you're this little tiny fish with these big whales, because guess what? QuickBooks Online is different than desktop. It's different. It looks different. It functions different. It has all the same functionalities for the most part, but they just are done differently. Reporting looks different. There are some compatibility things that you may not even be able to do in QuickBooks Online, or you'll have to find a workaround to the way that desktop did it. So there are differences. That's not untrue. It's just learning what they are so that you can navigate it properly and to the best of its ability. Let's see, what else can I say about, so one of the great things about converting from desktop to online is that you can work with any and all of your bookkeepers, your CPA, your tax preparer, your office manager, your sales manager, like anybody and everybody who has to be in your books at any point in time can be in there without having to buy multi-user licenses, without having to do a remote connection where they can log in, but then you can't be logged in because they're logged in, without having to worry about VPNs and all of that stuff, buying seats for a software that allows multiple people to be in there. That's all added expense that you were having to spend to work sort of efficiently in desktop. Online is built in order for you to have everybody who needs to be in it. That being said, that means you have to purchase the appropriate subscription level. So there are, just like desktop, there are different levels of QuickBooks Online. So desktop had Pro, Premier, oh gosh, I just said it a minute ago. The elite one. It's not elite. It's enterprise. So you could, and it had a nonprofit version. And I think there was like a contractor specific version, a manufacturing specific version. It was like in the names. It was like QuickBooks Desktop Pro contractor edition. Online doesn't have any of those additions. What it does is it asks you questions when you sign up for it that are relative to how you're going to need to use it. So for example, if you say that you're a nonprofit, it will say that the profit and loss is a statement of income instead of profit and loss. It will say statement of financial position instead of balance sheet, because they're actually the exact same thing, but for nonprofits, they are called something different. You can customize QuickBooks to be what you need it online, to be what you need it to be by answering the setup questions accurately and thoroughly, and not just clicking buttons because you're annoyed that they're being asked of you. It's so that it can build you out the best version for what you need it to be on setup. Also, when you convert, all your information is coming over. So if you were using a contractor chart of accounts, your contractor chart of accounts is still going to be there. If you were using nonprofit terminology, the nonprofit terminology is still going to be there. They have labels that you can change to call your customers different things like tenants, donors, patients, customers, clients. I think there's 2 more that I'm missing. But anyway, you can customize what you call the people who pay you. So those are your customers or anybody that's going to send you money. So it makes more sense to what you're doing with it. There's lots of ways to customize QuickBooks Online. Not only that, but there's different applications that connect with QuickBooks Online that can make your jobs so much more efficient and thorough for what you're doing and for what you need. And they just beautifully come into QuickBooks Online and sync up all the data so your financial information is there, but you're able to do the work that's specific to your industry and your what you offer outside of QuickBooks, if that's a better fit, if that's what works for you specifically. So that's all available as well, and on a much broader scale than what's available with desktop. So actually that could increase performance and save time and all of that as well for you. That's stuff we can look at when you're thinking about converting over to online, if there's ways to streamline. Online is fully mobile. So if you have workers in the field, or if you're in the field and you need to have an invoice paid or an estimate signed, or if you want to take pictures of your receipts while you're still in line at Home Depot and have them be in your books immediately, all of that is possible with online and is not possible with desktop in the same ways as easily. So that can actually help efficiency as well, because instead of getting home at night and having to open up your computer and put all this information in, it's just going to have been there from all the activities that you and or your employees are doing, or even your vendors are doing all day long. QuickBooks Online Payroll has an amazing connection for time tracking, and so it also works with desktop so that you're not losing that at all. But you won't lose your job costing availability. You won't lose any of that. Everything works the same on the phone and the tablets and the computer as it did in the desktop for time tracking, the Intuit time tracking and payroll. You have option of actually tracking time right inside of QuickBooks Online with timesheets that don't even require you to have payroll turned on, again, to help with job costing, or just keeping the information in one place and then easily sending it over to whatever payroll solution that you are providing. Most all of the external payroll providers now have a sync or a journal entry or something that is sent into QuickBooks Online and gives you all that data. What it's not going to give you is job costing. So you do have to learn how to manually do journal entries to keep your job costing information correct if you're not going to use QuickBooks Online Payroll. If you were already using QuickBooks on our desktop payroll, I don't know why you wouldn't just use online payroll. There are going to be some differences, and mostly from an accounting perspective, not from a user perspective at all. So if somebody else is managing your payroll for you, let them deal with that. That's their issue, not yours. Don't let that detour you from converting, because it's really going to give you, the business owner, the very, very best results possible with your finances and tracking all the pennies for your job costing and whatnot. Also with online, it's accessible anywhere in the world with internet access, regardless of whose computer you're using. So you can have access to your information without having to be stuck to the computer that it's downloaded on, or like I said earlier, buying external login stuff so that you can access your information. I just talked to a new customer the other day, and part of the reason he's converting is that he wants to travel and he doesn't want to have to worry about where his office computer is at when he's traveling, so that he can access his information. He also wants to be able to send invoices to his customers while he's traveling and not have to come back to the office to do it. He doesn't also want to have somebody else do his part that he wants to do because he's not present at the computer that it's on. So it opens up this world of availability for you and or your employees, so that they can do their jobs from anywhere. You can do your job from anywhere. You can keep track of your information from anywhere, which is really, really nice as a business owner, to not be tied to a geographic location of your computer, so to speak. So that's one of the other differences. Now you'll be fully mobile and you'll be able to do things on the go. Now, if where you're at does not have cell reception or internet access, that's going to be the bummer, because you're not even going to be able to enter information because you can't even get into your books. With desktop, if you had your laptop with you or something, you could open up at least data enter information. You still wouldn't be able to transmit without internet access, but you could at least data enter, and you cannot do that with online. So if you're in a position or in a remote area where you are used to not needing internet access to access your information or to enter information, that's going to be something you want to work through. Maybe talk to us or another professional QuickBooks advisor that can help you understand the nuances of, way you're doing it now to the way it would be in online, so that you're really ready for the transition once you have to make that. This might be just the good little you need to say, okay, fine, I'll take the leap. Let's just do it. I really wouldn't wait until you're forced to do it because of something Intuit has decided. I would still make this your choice to take on, so that you are in the best frame of mind to absorb information, to educate yourself, to learn what you need to learn to be successful. Because if you're doing it from a resentful place, if you're doing it from a place of, this isn't something I want to do, I'm only doing it because I have to do it, it changes your perspective, and it changes the way you think, and it stops you from really being able to move past that negativity and do the things you need to do to learn. So I recommend, let's tackle this as a experiment almost, and say, okay, let's just do this because let's just try something new rather than, I have to do this, right? And like I said, if you have someone else managing your books and they're telling you QuickBooks Online sucks and it doesn't work good, more than likely it's because they themselves have not taken the time to learn the software, and that's why they think it sucks. Case in point, I'm helping a new customer whose current bookkeeper has told him all of the ways QuickBooks Online sucks, and that she thinks it's a piece of, let's just call it poo, and that it doesn't do any of the things that he wants done. Well, guess what? Every single thing that he has brought to the table in our meetings has been able to be done beautifully inside of QuickBooks Online with no problem, not even workarounds, because sometimes there is a workaround that you have to create. And he's like, I don't get why she's saying it sucks. It's doing everything great. She is a desktop user that just likes desktop and hasn't taken the time to really learn otherwise. So in her mind, it's sucking because it's just not exactly how she did it somewhere else. Does not mean it's not possible to do. So keep an open mind, breathe, do your meditations, whatever you need to do to just absorb the fact that yes, we are going to eventually have to convert from desktop to online at some point in the near future. Near future could be 3 years from now when they finally cut off support for the 2024 version, but it's near. It's nearer than 10 years ago, right? So hopefully this was helpful to kind of guide you through some of the differences between desktop and online. I'm happy to help and consult with you on all of the differences and nuances that are specific to your business if you haven't really taken the time to look into this. But yes, it's coming. Yes, July 1 is the date where you can no longer get a new version of QuickBooks Desktop except Desktop Enterprise version. It's really here. It's not a rumor anymore, but don't let it get you all messed up, because really I have yet to see a single company that has converted from desktop to online where it was a mistake of any kind. Not one in 10 years. And I've been doing this long enough where online really used to suck. Like for real, it was bad. It wasn't good. So if you haven't looked at online in, I would say let's just call it 5 to 6 years. If you haven't looked at online for 5 to 6 years, 100% agree with you that it did suck and that it wasn't very useful then. Come back now, see what's happening now. Intuit has put so much resource, time, energy, engineers, developers. I'm on the Accountant Council and we meet twice a year all over the country. Accountants, we come together and we tell Intuit why this is stupid, why this part sucks, what's great about this benefit, what would be great about that benefit. We come to the table, we speak on your behalf, and we help them build out the product. So I've seen personally, firsthand, the internal changes that they're willing to make it better and better for you. So hopefully this was helpful. Reach out if you have any questions. If you're watching the replay, still put your questions in here. If you're watching us on YouTube, comment below. We'll go back in. If you're finding this on LinkedIn, do comment your questions. We will go back into any platform and answer them for you. But anyway, that is today's edition of Mini Masterclass. And we will see you in 2 weeks on the 4th Thursday of this month. These happen every month on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of the month. And we will see you then. Everyone have a great Valentine's Day. That's coming up. Even if you're not celebrating, even if it's a Galentine's Day, whatever it is, make it a special day. Show yourself some love. Watch our stories. I'm trying to help entrepreneurs this month figure out ways that they too can love themselves, which in turn helps them love their business. See y'all soon. Bye.